What's up everyone, Nick Pilotta here with URM Academy, the best place on YouTube for rock and metal producers. Today I want to talk to you guys about a huge concept in our industry. Virtual instruments, specifically virtual guitars. I feel as though the rock and metal community have been fairly open to using virtual instruments and sample augmentation with drums and bass, specifically with, Wanasek and all these awesome multi-sampled instrument packs. It's hard not to hear about them. But the one area that a large majority of people simply can't get behind is fake guitars. But I think critics of programmed guitars are kind of missing the point by thinking of it as something that you use, as a shortcut or maybe even as a cheat to compensate for a bad guitarist. And sure, maybe people still use fake guitars in that way, but I've learned that there is a much better way to use fake guitars in a production. And more on that in a minute, but first a little background. For a lot of you guys who know a lot about virtual guitars and have been following it for the last few years, I'm sure you know what shreddage is. It kind of, to me, paved the way for what virtual guitars are now. Which leads me to the thing that has helped me in that in the last 2 years or so, Solemn Tones has released a virtual guitar called the Odin. And its goal was simple, to create the ultimate guitar sampling solution. Now it's all MIDI based, meaning that you can program this like any other virtual instrument that you've programmed before, but they implemented a feature called key switches, which helps you even further shape the sound of your guitar's performance. Whether you're changing how it's picked, whether you're bending, sliding, or tapping, or even doing harmonics. And if we go to the website here, we can take a listen to a few examples that show off how the instrument's used. Let's take a listen to a few. These sound pretty good to me, and if you were to ask me, can I make a production using fake guitars? Listening to these, I would have to say yes. I personally don't think that's where this instrument's best used. I think the key for this virtual instrument is to use it in the songwriting and the demo stages of your production. It's going to dramatically speed up the demo and songwriting process, but more importantly, it's going to give you the ability to explore new creative ideas in a song, which then helps you net out more songs in the end. So many people are addicted to using things like Guitar Pro and Tablet and even, free virtual instruments, and it just sounds so boring to me. Hearing that same agonizing sawtooth wave is just so unbelievably uninspiring to me. And it's hard to write a good song when you're not inspired, right? Like, has anyone ever listened to what came out of Guitar Pro and thought, oh my god, this part is sick? No one has ever done that. Regardless of the awesome riffs that you guys are writing, everything will just always have a poor quality with it. So how do you know if what you wrote is good? I mean, listen to this comparison here, and you tell me which one is more creatively inspiring. I hope to God you picked the Odin track, and that is where Odin shines. It creates a really solid sounding DI that you can put through whatever mix template that you already have, whatever guitar tones that you already have, and you can make your demos and your songwriting sessions sound way better. Now let's head into the DAW and let me show you some ways that I have found that Odin is great for songwriting. So here is my session today. This is a songwriting session that I just whipped up this morning, and let's just take a listen to the song that I wrote real quick. I wrote this song in about 45 minutes this morning, just messing around with Odin and some other virtual instruments. Everything in here is going to be fake instruments. You'll notice that the bass is printed, but that's because I printed it off of a MIDI track. Let's just take a listen to what this song sounds like. And that's not bad. That's not bad for, just 45 minutes. And the reason that I think that I was able to do some cool stuff there is because I was already immediately creatively inspired to start working on a track simply by listening to these guitars. Let's take a listen to the guitars. I have to wrap them in patchwork because it's a VST, but here it is right here, the Odin Deluxe. And what's awesome about this is that it already has a preset of hard pan rhythm guitars. So it's left and right already ready for you to go. And what you can do is you can do guitar 1 and guitar 2 separately. So if you want to write something and, the left side is different than the right side, you can just split them up, create 2 different tracks, and program accordingly. There's 4 main buttons down here. The first one is raw mode. So essentially that's going to add human-like sound bites to your playing. Again, it's making it even more realistic. And to me, just realism equals creativity. And I really like what that does to the guitar. It adds like a little bit of, like string scrapes. And, when your hand is sitting on the actual strings there, when you're palm muting and stuff, it adds a human element to it, which is really cool. And like I mentioned before, there's a button here for key switches, and everything from C0 all the way up to D sharp 1. If you put that down in the track, you can then create, a slide. So for instance, if you're about to do a slide on the downbeat, put a keystroke on A sharp at 0 and then program the slide and it will work perfectly. But in order for songwriting, the faster way to do things is to just hit this Swift mode button here again. This is just further making things faster for you to become more creative. And what Swift mode does is it essentially turns the program into just a simple guitar player where you have percussive chugs and scrapes at your lower level of your velocities. And then the next level of velocities are some palm mutes. After that is alternative picking. And then the last 2 velocities there are pinch harmonics. So really, if you just select hard panned rhythm guitars, go to raw mode, go to Swift mode, you're ready to start programming some guitars that will sound really realistic. All I have for the guitar tone, by the way, too, is just Toneforge Menace. So let's just take a listen to the guitar solo real quick. And then how about that chugging section? They sound great. So let's talk about the first thing that I want to bring up when it comes to songwriting. And it's that it is so easy to change keys of your song. So let's say you're writing a song and your vocalist is starting to write melodies and he or she is realizing that they can't sing in that key, or maybe they want to even lower it too. The easiest way to do that is just take your MIDI, go to Event Operations, Transpose. I have polyphonic on the bass, so I can transpose that as well. We'll take it down, or maybe up 2 semitones, and let's just hear what this sounds like. It still sounds great. It doesn't have any weird effects sounding or anything. It doesn't sound like the guitar is all of a sudden a chipmunk or anything. It still sounds solid. And this is going to save you probably, hours in the studio. Because, if you're going to go from playing in drop C to playing in drop D, sometimes you might have to actually change the strings on your guitar, which could take a lot of time, eating up a lot of time during your session, especially if you're using an Evertune. That can sometimes take up to an hour to restring. The next thing that I want to talk about is just how easy it is to change parts. And when you're in Swift mode with the plugin, you can easily change parts by just changing the velocities. So let's take a listen to this part here where that breakdown starts. Maybe we want that whole thing there in the beginning to be palm muted. So all we do is highlight these and just pull them down into the palm muting section. Now let's take a listen to this. And if you didn't like it, simply just press Command Z and it's all back to normal. It is so fast and so easy to be creative and to change parts quickly. Again, you're all about saving time and focusing on the creative energy of the session when you're in a songwriting or, a demo stage. Another thing that I would want to bring up is something that I've called selective performing. So let's say that you have everyone in the band is writing a song and they want some fast tremolo picking part over top of a breakdown or something, and no one is fast enough or no one is a good enough guitarist to actually perform that. All you have to do is simply program that over top of what you've already recorded, and now you have a pretty solid sounding DI that you can work with and that you can use for that section because no one else can play it. It saves so much time of wasting takes and it keeps the creative juices flowing. Another reason why this is so great for songwriting is, like I said, it's 100% MIDI based. So if you still like to program things, for instance, maybe in Guitar Pro, all you have to do is just export the MIDI out of Guitar Pro, import it into your mixing template, and you have a way better sounding song. Let's take a listen to a track real quick that's in Guitar Pro. Alrighty, we're in Guitar Pro 7.5 here. Let's go ahead and just click on one of the tracks that are already in Guitar Pro, all of them Witches. And let's just take a listen to this. So if you like writing with scoring or if you like writing with tabs, but you want to get a better sounding demo, all you have to do is go up to File, hit Export, and then go over to this MIDI section here, hit Export as MIDI, and then you'll have MIDI to import into Pro Tools. Once you've exported out that MIDI in Guitar Pro, all you have to do is import it into your session, hit OK, drag and drop up into here, and the last button that was inside the plugin was this octave drop. And if you read this, octave drop makes Odin read an octave lower, enabling Guitar Pro-like MIDIs to be played on the right octave. Essentially, what all that means is that Guitar Pro will always export your MIDI out an octave lower. So this is just basically saying that anything that is an octave lower, I'll read as what it should be in the normal octave, which is so handy that they added that in. This is basically a Guitar Pro player's dream. So let's just go ahead and take a listen to what this sounds like. That sounds great to me, and if you still like scoring in Guitar Pro or you like writing tabs in Guitar Pro, simply export that MIDI and you have further control of it here inside of Odin. For someone like me who's a producer who's not very good at playing guitar, this thing has been a lifesaver when it comes to demos and songwriting sessions. All I have to do is simply just program a part that I was hearing in my head, show it to the guitarist and to the band. Everyone loves it, we track it real with guitars, and we keep going from there. It has been a lifesaver. So I want to hear what you guys think. If you guys think that this would be beneficial in your songwriting and your demos, if there's any sort of virtual guitar instruments that you guys have been using that you found were really beneficial, I would love to check them out, love to see them. So go ahead and post them down in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys soon.